Welcome back to another episode of the Circle of Knowledge podcast. I am your host, John Kovacs Jr., founder of Champion Circle, international motivational speaker, best-selling author, and a bunch of other fun things. Today's conversation is one topic that I am most interested in. It's one I absolutely love entertaining, and it's one I can't wait to get deeper into because I've just got a lot to learn about this topic, and the topic's on emotional intelligence. But before we introduce our guest and before we get into it, I just want to remind everyone that our fifth book, which is now in print and is demand of the 13 Steps to Riches, is now available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble anywhere throughout the world. This is the 13 Steps to Riches, Volume 5 is available, just launched last week. We're so proud of the work we've done, and go and check it out. Thank you very much. That is the announcement for the day. And I also want to introduce the guest that I have brought on to the Circle of Knowledge podcast today. You guys get a chance to meet Nini Tolson. And Nina is a confidence coach. She's a specialist in emotional intelligence. Now, as a confidence coach, Nina's clients come to her for three things. They come to her for clarity, confidence, and cash flow. The Tolson Institute, the consulting company that Nina co-founded in 2010, has now consulted more than 25,000 business people globally, delivering over 6,500 case studies into emotional intelligence, and provides services to Fortune 500 companies, privately owned million and billion-dollar businesses. I'm really excited about this conversation, as well as this is one of the furthest conversations and interviews I've yet to have, coming to us all the way from Taiwan, Miss Nini Tolson. Nina, thank you for joining me on the Circle of Knowledge podcast.
Hi, John. Great to see you. Thank you for having me today. Really excited to share about the emotional intelligence.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited to learn more about you and where you came from and your entire background. So without getting too long-winded, I'd love to just ask you, in a few minutes or so, tell us about where you've come from. Like what's your background and why did you get into this specialist consulting in emotional intelligence?
Okay, so I grew up in Taiwan, but then I studied in America. So I used to live in Cleveland and then Hawaii. And after that, my background, I used to work as a business cabin crew with the three international airline. So I used to live in Macau and Dubai for almost 5 years. And that's where I met my husband, Daniel. What's really get me into this coaching business is in 2010 I had a major accident on the aircraft, so that result in me I think I have 3 major reconstructive surgery in the 2.5 years. So
Wow.
by that mean, I won't be able to back to fly again because, I having that permanent disability, I couldn't walk properly. And, I keeping back and forward in the rehab for 2.5 years. And then, work and the company give me those worker compensation, and then at the end they say, I don't think that we can keep paying you and looking after you. So I lost my job, lost the source of the income, and then it's just like the whole world just collapsed. And then that emotional pain was so bad that I wanted to end my life, both physically and emotionally. And I think that was a time I really get into the personal development because I need to find a way to reinvent myself to become a totally different person. Because I used to be the aviation industry for almost 10 years.
Wow.
But then when the incident, those accidents happened, I have no other skill than serving chicken and beef. so I have to totally reinvent myself, and that's where I start this journey, and with my husband together.
Wow, you're a world traveler. You've got a wide range of skill sets. You've completely turned yourself around from one industry to another. I,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to understand more about this, and it's phenomenal to hear that someone can adjust, right? Someone can bounce back from devastation. I can't imagine going through what you went through in the way that you went through it, and that's phenomenal. And you mentioned that um, that this ultimately is how you, not all of it, but this is ultimately how you met your husband overseas. And
Yeah.
did you guys still live in one location, or did you move around a little bit when you guys got together?
I think by that time, because I pregnant, and then we decided to we're gonna move back to Taiwan because my husband didn't want to miss out the our first child's birth,
Wow.
so he has to resign because he used most of his leave traveling with me to doing the operation. So I have two operation in Dubai, one in the UK. So he using all his leave, and then we moved back to Taiwan and we used all our saving to start our business, but it didn't work out. And my husband, he doesn't know how to speak Chinese. So we have to move back to Australia. So we moved back to Australia for a while, and we tried to start the business, and we were on the government benefit, social
Mm.
security, and for a while, and then we tried to get back up, and we did have a little bit luck when we back to Australia. Things work out quite well. We start earning the good money, and then another crisis come. We have the Australia having some economy impact, and then all
Mm.
the strategy that used to work not working anymore, and then we sell all the stuff and move back to Taiwan and start again.
Wow.
So, we facing a lot of challenge, a lot of upside down. And I think what really helping both of us is that emotional intelligence is because um, when you're facing the challenge, which is come to the resiliency, a lot of people get knocked down, but they won't be able to get back up again. And that's where's your emotional intelligence coming from. Where is that self-management, which
Yeah.
is, when you're having challenges, obstacle, and negative emotions. And I think that for a lot of people when they start their entrepreneurship, a lot of emotion will come through. Sometimes you feel very good. Sometimes you feel some challenge. Sometimes you having that rejections, and all those emotion inside of you like a cocktail. So if you don't know how to manage well, will impact your performance.
Mm. Wow. And before we go deeper into that, I really am excited to talk more about that. I do want to ask you though, out of all the places you lived in the world, what's been your favorite?
What's my favorite? I would say Dubai.
Dubai. It's
Mm.
beautiful there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place, and I think it's like a city of the gold.
Mm.
Like you can see so many exotic stuff, and then when I used to work there, we have the colleague from 136 different nationality. So
Yeah.
every day you feel like, whoa, I always meeting new people. It's very excited.
Yeah.
I really love that job. So sometimes, I would dream about it. If I didn't have that accident, I probably still doing it now.
Yeah.
I would
Wow.
say.
That's awesome. I also love Dubai. I can't wait to go back. Moving forward into emotional intelligence. So your career takes a shift from the service industry in aerospace and in being in the airline industry, and
Mm.
you now become a consultant. Where did this idea or this concept of emotional intelligence become so profound for you?
I think personally because I've been through that emotional pain, that
Hmm.
trauma, when these accidents happen, I having the depression, I feel like I want to finish myself. And then I realized that actually a lot of people experiencing similar situation like me when they're having some those unexpected trauma or the incident, they don't know how to cope with it. And and when I learn about the emotional intelligence, and I also learn about the NLP, those how to do those hypnosis, and then overcome those root cause of the problems. And I realized that, oh my God, those things are so powerful. If this can heal me, I want to help other people
Wow.
who experiencing the similar challenge like me.
Hmm.
That's how I started.
I love this. And for my listeners who may or may not know the definition of emotional intelligence, we're talking about several concepts here. We're talking about the idea that your emotions are number one importance. Number two, that they're valuable in the process of making decisions, especially professional decisions. And number two
Mm,
is awareness, right? You would say that
yeah.
there's a bit of an awareness factor to just recognizing that, okay, what I'm feeling is something that my body is trying to tell me, and
Mm,
there's so much more to this. And I know that you're an expert in this, and I'm definitely not. I just know enough about it to speak the principles. But if you were to describe to somebody how to develop a better emotional intelligence, where would you start?
okay. So actually, emotional intelligence, it comes to four pillar. The first one
Mhm.
is your self-awareness, is about how much do you know about yourself? Do you know who you really are? Do you know your weakness, or do you know your strength? And also coming with the self-confidence. And second is what we call the self-management, which is when you're facing the challenge, when you're having those negative emotion, anxiety, how can you cope with it? How can you managing it? And the third part is what we call the social awareness.
Mhm.
This is how we talk about the empathy, how if you can read other people emotional makeup. And the fourth pillar is the social recognitions, which is, how can you manage and building the relationship. So here is talking about your communication as well. So this is four major pillar of the emotional intelligence. And actually your emotional intelligence, your EQ is count about 58% of
Wow.
your success. So that's why the higher the EQ you have, the more money that you will be able to make. So EQ is not like our IQ. Our IQ has been set about age 15, but the
Wow.
EQ can be improved through the coaching. So I have a lot of clients that, what we usually do is before they come to the training, before they come to the coaching, they will do one EQ assessment. And through here, they will see their score. And after the 3 month, the coaching, they can see their EQ has been improving. So this is can be a serious, personal development. But nowadays, we also have the AI technology to measure your emotional intelligence through your voice recording. So that's
Wow.
very very different. You can do like an online, like this kind of assessment, but usually this will have a little bit bias. But with the AI technology, because it's through your voice analysis, there's no bias, so can be very very accurate about
Wow.
your emotional intelligence.
That's awesome. That's so amazing, and I do want to unpack that a little bit more on the AI stuff. But
Hmm.
as I think about it, it's so important that we do have some sort of awareness of ourselves. Two, that we recognize that there's a way to improve our EQ. And I love
Hmm.
how you compared EQ to IQ. And I know that might be hard for many to hear, that our IQ was established maybe as late as when we were 15. And I love hearing that, because while some people know and believe and understand that you can improve your intellect, your
Hmm.
intelligence, or your IQ level, is it has a lot to do with upbringing, desire, and a lot has to do with just the level of capacity that the brain takes in. But that doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean you're smart. It just means that you're in a place that your brain can learn at a certain level or at a certain type, and you can
Yeah.
lean into that. You can use your IQ level as a superpower. But what is hard for people to hear is that that's not really something that's moving the needle much. What moves the
Hmm.
needle is your EQ, your emotional intelligence. And I think that
Yeah.
you hit it on the head, Nini. That's so powerful. And I think that people need to know this, because there's so many people who are reacting, lashing out, and they're not recognizing the importance of the quality of their emotions and how
Yeah.
those interact. And for you, your story is basically spot on, perfect on how to describe this. You went from one industry and had to flip on the other side, and your emotional awareness, your intelligence in that area allowed the maturity to turn it over and allow you to work in a different industry. And I
Yeah.
believe you said 2021, if you haven't said it already, you said that you had an impactful year in your business, one of the top best years in your business as a consultant.
Yeah. So I would say the past 6 months, I already did another 700
Wow.
assessment just on the emotional intelligence, because I think nowadays the world is very different since the COVID hit. The world has been changing. A lot of people can be losing the family member, losing the job, and all those are emotion. All those emotion, different kind of emotion, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt, all those kicking in. And as a human being, we are 100% emotional. We're 100% emotional. And your emotion decide every, how should I say, your emotion actually affect all the decision that you made.
Mm.
So if you can manage your emotion better, you can make the better decision. And do you know that, John, actually one negative emotion can impact your performance up to 4 hours.
Wow.
And you will need 5 positive emotion to cancel that one out.
Wow.
So that's why, have you ever, having like certain day, okay, I woke up late and then I realized that, oh, I missed the bus. Oh, I missed the meeting. Like all the things keep rolling and rolling like a snowball. And those emotions will add it up. And at the end of the day, you feel like, shit, I didn't do anything. Nothing has been done because I'm so angry. I'm so pissed off, isn't it? So that's why, because this is what I see a lot in my client as well. A lot of business owner, they, when the things happen and they couldn't control the emotion, they start impacting the leadership. They couldn't lead a better team and also impact their colleague or the client as well. So at the end of the day, that will impact their bank account.
Mm. I love this. This is so fascinating to me, and it resonates. And I love the statistics that you're sharing, because when people compare the abstract to the physical, and the abstract
Mm,
is something not chemically bound, like intelligence or ideas or AI in general, versus the way our bodies are chemically compounded together. I mean, our bodies are what, 80% water, they say, and but
mm,
when you say we are 100% emotional, I love that. And it's profound, because we recognize that there's so much more to us than the worker bee that goes to work and does what they need to do to go home at the end of the day, to eat their food and spend time with their family and go to sleep. Like, there's more to our lives than just the day-to-day minutia, and I think that
yeah.
that's just powerful.
Yeah. And, also nowadays a lot of people having a lot of stress,
Mm,
even your stress level related to your emotions. And through this AI technology, they also can tell you where's your stress really coming from. There are so many, we have a logical stress, accumulated stress, but also emotional stress. So if you better understanding yourself, you can manage better. I hope this makes sense to you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It resonates too. I like this. And I want to lean more into that, and I want to also get into the artificial intelligence. But
Hmm.
that's interesting to me, and I love hearing that, because now there's levels of intelligence, and there's levels of awareness that everyone should be aware of. There's what you just described. There's there's how it affects you, there's what it leads into. I love this. This is like taking a magnifying glass over the anthill, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a colony in there. There's so much more to this than meets the eye. But at the same time, do you think, Nini, it needs to be as complex as it sounds, or do you think it's actually pretty simple to work on emotional intelligence?
Great questions. I think, to me, because I already been through that journey, I'm not going to lie to you, is it's not easy,
Good.
especially when you're working on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Working on yourself. When I talking about the emotion, people know emotions are important, but not necessarily everybody is ready to face the emotions, like we say, that emotional pain or the emotional trauma. So do you say it's easy? Not easy, but once you overcome that, you break through that glass ceiling, everything after that will be easy. Just like, me, like if you ask me now, because I've been through that, I will say yes, it's easy. But honestly, the journey, the process, you need to do a lot of hard work. You need to
Yeah.
do a lot of hard work,
I,
for
I
sure.
heard I heard a quote the other day, and I don't remember if it was from a TikTok or if it was like a real quote, but it was it was about kindness, and it said, "Don't mess with other people's kindness. You don't know what's going on inside them.
Yeah.
The people who are kind have tamed their beasts." And I thought that was funny because it's like, yeah, I'm a really nice person. I don't really conflict with anybody, but if it were me conflicting with myself, my internal battles, man, I'll come in with boxing gloves and swinging, because it is tough. It is so hard to work on ourselves. That's the biggest fight and the biggest struggle that many of us have. And I
Yeah.
love that you've put this into such simple terms for me to understand and my audience, because it seriously is not easy. It is doable. It just, as you said, not everyone is ready to take on themselves, and that's fascinating to me.
Yeah. One of the sentence I always like to share with my client is, it's not what you know that hurts you, it's what you don't know.
Mm,
And here is come to the emotional intelligence, because in the emotional intelligence, you will realize, oh my God, there's so many things I actually don't know about myself. And am I ready to facing what we say sometimes, those demon, those blind spot? Am I ready to overcome that?
wow.
So that's why, for the client that who come to me, a lot of them, they've been through a lot of pain. They try so many things, but they didn't get the outcome they wanted. So I kind of like their final rescue stations,
Yeah.
for them to like, okay, I try everything, and then I know this is my last change. I need to working on myself.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Well, let's jump into how you help people. Now, I know that one of the biggest golden nuggets you'd like to share with our audience is that artificial intelligence can improve your emotional intelligence. What tools, what resources are you using to do so? And also, let's lead into how my listeners can find out more about it.
Okay. What we say is that everything have a frequency. Our energy is a frequency. Just like, for example, we couldn't see the frequency of the radio station or even the computer or microwave, but we know when we put the food in, we turn it on,
Yeah.
you can have the hot soup. So that's a frequency. So through this artificial intelligence, we actually recorded your voice in less than 90 seconds. So it actually decode your brain wave frequency. So in here, in the 90-second, we can find out 481 your emotional trigger.
Wow.
So it's very phenomenal technology. I would say this technology really changed my life, because I found out something that I don't even know about myself. In this technology, it also will tell you your emotional blueprint. So by that mean is, we are who we are because of who, the past bring us today. So our decisions, what we made today, a lot of it is based on our past experience. For example, let me use it as an example. People fear of making mistake. A lot of them, they've been through a lot of challenging childhood. They make a mistake, they get punished, especially in the Asian culture. You make a mistake, you punish. Western culture, probably more like you make a mistake, that's okay. Let's learn from it. So what I can see, like in the in the Asian culture, a lot of people they tend to stuck in the comfort zone because they fear of making that mistake again, because the connection is I make a mistake, I get punished. But when you come into the entrepreneurship, you need to make a lot of decisions
Yeah.
or the thing outside of your comfort zone. So that will hold them back. But people will wondering why the conscious tell me I want to do it, but actually it's 95% of your subconscious decided what action that you're going to take or not.
Wow.
So this technology will actually tell you all the significant emotional event in your life that has been impacting you. So that come back to the self-awareness. You really need to know what hold you back. When we went to see the doctor, you will tell the doctor some of your symptom, and doctor say, let's send you to do the X-ray. So this is like a X-ray of your brain, of your emotions.
That's wonderful. I'm so excited to learn more about this, and I love that you've brought in two different cultures into the mix too, and identified those, because I think that's important. I think that as you expand your business, you personally, and then all of us in general, Nini, is that recognizing that people come from different backgrounds, there's different personalities and cultures all together, and how they respond to feedback, how they respond to disappointment, and how they respond to fallbacks. That's a really interesting piece to it. How can my listeners get to know you a little bit more? I know that they can find you and follow you on Facebook. I know that they can find you on social media. Where would you like them to learn more about you?
They can go to my website, just ninitolson.com, and in the website we'll have more detail about this artificial intelligence. Also about the EQ. They want to learn more about it, so they will have some good information there.
To the chat section, people can just click right on it. Nini Tolson.com. Awesome. And then most of our guests do this, but they don't have to. But I know that you said that you had a free gift or something you wanted to give to my listeners. It sounds like you have Find Your Flow. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So Find Your Flow is my training that I do on a monthly basis. So it's about the emotional intelligence training. So it's in this 4 hours workshop is helping the client, the people, to better understand themselves, so they can break through the barrier that they're having. Like I said, everything what we made is based on our emotion, and also the self-confidence as well that come to the emotional intelligence. The more confidence that you have in yourself, the better decision that you will make as well. That will make you want to go forward and making, chasing the goal.
Awesome. That's really cool. And I found the link to that as well. I'll be putting that here in the chat section. You guys can go and check that out at findyourflow.cc. And man, I've learned so much. There's a concept, Nini, that we talk about on this show a lot. And it's, there's two of them. There's number one, there's habit stacking. And that's just adding other positive habits to an already flowing habit. Number two is the idea of how someone learns to speed read, and that's by knowledge stacking. And knowledge stacking is you can skim words and you'll still sort of comprehend the words you're consuming, but your brain will process and put things together based on association. And it's based on your IQ and what you've already learned. And a lot of what we learn is just minimal little layers of sand added to our current intelligence level. But today I feel like I drank from from the fire hose. It was so much good information that I can't wait to go back and listen to the recording. I can't wait to go learn more about what you're involved in. I can't wait to take more assessments and dive into this deeper, because there's so much to this that I have not discovered. Even though I feel like I am personally very aware of my emotions, I know that the people who believe that they have the highest IQ are truly the ones who need to learn the most. And so I feel that, and I love that. And I want to thank you and pour into you, because you're an obvious expert in this space. You know how to help people get through it. And I want to send people your way, because I think that's really, really awesome. I want to ask you if you have any other last and parting words you'd like to share with our audience, so that maybe they can connect with you, or even just learn more about the concept of emotional intelligence.
Well, one last advice I would like to share with the audience is that there's only 4 ways to change your life, and that will come into the emotional intelligence: is do more of certain things, do less of certain things, stop doing something old, and start something new. And it sounds easy, but when it comes to that change cycle, when that come to the emotional intelligence, that self-management, you come into the changing cycle. Sometimes it's not that easy. But like I say to my clients, I want everybody to focusing on that 1% of the incremental improvement on the daily basis. Because if you improve 1% every day, 1 year, you improve 365%. And that is the good way to grow, to learn, and improve your emotional intelligence as well.
So well said. Thank you for finishing off with that. That's amazing. Nini, I keep saying Nini,
That's okay.
I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Thank you so much for your just kindness, your awesomeness, and your willingness to pour into my audience. You guys go learn more about Nini by going to ninitolson.com. Also, go follow her on social media, learn more, take her assessments, go check out her live events. You won't want to miss that. And I appreciate the conversation. We'll have to have you back on the show to get a little bit deeper. I know we never get too far into the surface level, because a lot of it is because of me. I do this show personally because I want to sit front row seat to the experts in industries that can teach us, and they do so elegantly, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you for the knowledge that I've obtained today, and thank you for allowing us to take a little bit of action towards that knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your time as well.
Of course, and it's way past bedtime over there in Taiwan. So, without any further ado, you guys, this has been another awesome episode of the Circle of Knowledge podcast with Nini Tolson. Go check her out. Also, thank you so much. And remember that you have everything that you need within you now. Just take action on that, and you will do just fine. All right, we'll see you all next time.
Okay.